Continuing the lesson for 4.1 through 4.3, the next page is instantaneous versus average rate of change. So in class, I still haven't figured out that my screen isn't showing. So this is the page that I'm on. I think pretty early on in this video, I do figure that out and display it. Again, since this is the same lesson, the audio is still pretty bad. But again, just bear with me. And again, it'll get better after this 4.1 through 4.3 lesson. Okay, so let's talk now about instantaneous versus average rate of change. When you are interpreting, when you're reading text, and you're trying to figure out, okay, this is going to be a huge thing on the AP test when you're reading word problems or application problems and figuring out if they don't specifically say instantaneous or average rate of change, what are they talking about based on the phrase? Okay, so this is another activity that I want you to try on your own. So we've got 6 different phrases, and based on the English words, are they talking about instantaneous or average rate of change? It's okay if you get some of them wrong or you're not sure. I just want to see what you would think. So take about a minute, do 1 through 6. Okay, did any of those like you weren't sure? Any of them like, I don't know? What phrasing tripped you up, if any?
Number 2 is weird.
The after? Mm-hmm. I agree with that. What do I think number 2 is? After 3 seconds have elapsed. Is that instant or is that average?
Instant.
It's instant. Yeah, so after 3 seconds, it's really talking about that, add that 3 seconds. So number 2 is instantaneous. Okay, what about over the time interval from 2 to 5?
Average.
Yeah, that's pretty easy. Average. At noon. Instant. During the first 5 minutes.
Average.
Average. Over the 12-hour time period. Average. When t equals 7. Instantaneous. Okay, so I just wanted to go over those. So looking at some of those specific phrasings will give you a hint as to whether they're talking about average or they're talking about instantaneous. Okay, so we're good with those? All right, awesome. Because that will tell you whether you're going to take a derivative and calculate derivative or you're going to calculate a difference quotient. And we had that on your last quiz, and some of you did that wrong. There was a question where it was an average rate of change question on your quiz, and some of you, what you did is you took the derivative, you evaluated at certain points, and you tried to average the values. That's incorrect for average rate of change. All you have to do is f of b minus f of a over b minus a. It's not a calculus question, okay? So just a hint for those of you who did that incorrectly on the quiz. Okay, so now let's talk about units. Another thing that you're going to be asked on the AP test is to be able to identify the correct units, okay? So we're going to start like building up, and you're going to see it's going to get more and more difficult. But on the AP test, free response questions are worth 9 points. If you're doing a word problem, typically units is one of those points. Like you get the whole problem wrong, but if you have the right units, you'll still get that right, okay? Or it might be you have to have the answer with units. You might do the whole problem right, have the right answer, but leave off the units, it's all wrong, okay? So it's very, very important that we know how to first include the units and know how to include the right units. So this is where those of you who are in physics, you're used to meters per second. If the question is now in feet per second, and you're just so used to writing m over s, you've got to be really cognizant over in feet. Okay. So why don't you try this next one, part 2. So notice I've given you the function. So I'll work through the first one. This is an example. C of t. Okay, so you've got to know math notation. The capital C, that's the dependent variable. Okay, so here we're talking C is measured in dollars, like cost. And then of t, t is the independent variable. It's measured in hours. So if I want to find C prime, that's the derivative of C, then that's measured in dollars per hour. So what it is dependent variable over independent variable. So if you're talking about a rate of change or derivative units, it's dependent variable units over independent variable units. So just quickly fill out the rest of that chart. And you can simplify the fourth one.
Would it just be gallons per hour?
So yeah, so we have miles per gallon. We have miles per gallon over miles per hour for that last one. So then if you like multiply by the reciprocal, hours per mile, it'd be hours per gallon, right? Everybody good with that? Yeah, it ended up being hours per gallon. Okay, the second and third are pretty easy, right? It's just dependent over independent. So we have centimeters squared per second. We've got kilograms per cubic meter. Now you could write out per cubic meter, or you could do the slash and put meters cubed like that. That would be the quickest way. Now, if you're ever unsure, would the English be acceptable? Like if I literally wrote out the words kilograms per cubic meters, would that be okay? Yeah, absolutely, that would be okay.